Welcome to the Startup Sessions, the #1 web show and podcast for trusting your gut, breaking the rules, and starting something meaningful. Featuring in-depth interviews with acclaimed creative entrepreneurs that have succeeded at building their own remarkable businesses. This week, my guest is photographer Steve Rosenfield. And like many of my guests, Steve stepped away from a well-paying corporate job to pursue something more meaningful. What's really unique about Steve's work is that he took his love of photography and he combined it with a social experiment of sorts. In late 2010, Steve created the What I Be Project, which is now a global movement about honesty and empowerment. You see, society often tells us to look or act in a certain way. And if we differ from these standards, we're often judged or ridiculed or even bullied. Steve started his What I Be Project in hopes to open up the lines of communication and to help everyone accept diversity with an open heart and mind. I think you're really going to love this discussion with Steve about his unique project and his world-changing work. It's coming to you right now on episode 31 of the Startup Sessions. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Startup Sessions. I am Michael Knouse, and we are in the final week of our focus on talking to experts whose life and work and their mission is really to do work that matters, work that's meaningful. And this week, I'm joined by someone who's, I would call Steve certainly an innovator in the business of photography. But it's so much more than that. And we're going to talk about the details of Steve's work today. So I've got photographer and creative entrepreneur Steve Rosenfield with us here. Steve, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So Steve is a former 9-to-5er. He used to be in the corporate world a few years back. He's now a successful photographer, a creative entrepreneur. And a couple of weeks ago, I had the honor of participating in Steve's signature work, which is called the What I Be Project. And it's powerful work. The What I Be Project is really, I think of it, Steve, as kind of your body of work. There's so much to it. I also think of it as a movement about honesty, about empowerment. And I'm super excited to have you on the show to talk about this because so many people want to take their work, that thing that they do, and really make it more meaningful. And you've done that. Like, you've done that big time. So the tagline of the What I Be Project is building security through insecurities. And I think the best thing to do to start this off, Steve, is to just take a minute and introduce yourself and talk a little bit about the What I Be Project and the work that you're doing.
Yeah, so, my name's Steve Rosenfield. I'm a 39-year-old photographer who currently lives in Sacramento, California. Originally from Boston, Mass. And, I picked up photography probably in 2008, like seriously, as a hobby. And, excuse me, and I was photographing, a friend, Michael Franti, who is a musician, and, I was doing a lot of photography for them, and I just, I wanted to create, some type of project that would kind of have meaning. Not that my photos of people performing and stuff like that didn't have meaning to me, because I love photographing people while they're doing their passion. But I wanted something that would reach a lot farther, And, I'll give you the quick story, but, 12 years prior, or maybe, 10 years prior, I was working 9-to-5 at a really big financial firm in Boston. And I just wasn't happy. I wasn't satisfied with what I was doing. I was obviously, like everybody knows, going to work kind of like a robotic lifestyle. I own my own condo, and I was just really unhappy. My friendships were lacking. I wasn't really honest. I had an ego. I was a bodybuilder, and I came to the conclusion that in order for me to be happy is I needed to just kind of change what I was doing. I needed to, do the opposite. I needed to share my feelings, to not worry about my ego, and really just allow people in, and that created a really nice bond between my friends, family, and relationships and stuff like that. And fast forward 10 years, and I'm a photographer, and I wanted to see if what worked for me in my life could work on the grand scale, with strangers. And that's where the What I Be project came into fruition. It's named after a song by Michael Franti, which, just basically stands for be who you are. Don't worry about trying to be someone that you're not. Be happy with who you are and just embrace that. So, I created this project, in hopes to just spread awareness and try to break down walls and stigma with, mental health and just insecurities and vulnerabilities, and allow people to really, create community, with friends, strangers, that's
Yeah.
kind of what its goal was.
Okay. Well, I mean, one thing that's I think super interesting about your story is that what you set out to do, which was to make those deeper connections and have more real relationships, like you fully embraced that and actually brought it in and made it a part of your work. And I've experienced your work firsthand from a couple of weeks ago when you were in Portland, and it was phenomenal. And I saw I experienced it, and then I saw the connection of the group of people that also experienced your work while you were here in Portland. So it's true. It really does connect people. I'll attach my photo to the show notes for this episode so that you can all go to the website, the Startup Sessions, and see an example. And I'll also make sure that the What I Be project is linked up in the show notes as well. But I think the thing, if I think about, it's funny, I even feel a little bit vulnerable just sharing this now. But when Steve took a photograph of me, we had a discussion about my vulnerabilities and insecurities. And one of the things, that I face as an entrepreneur and someone who's relatively new at doing what I do is feeling unqualified about the work that I do. And I was really able to express that insecurity in a unique way. And you know what? I immediately realized that there's something really liberating and empowering about expressing my fears and doubts in that unique way. And it really felt good to do that and realize that, hey, you know what? This insecurity that I have, it doesn't define who I am as a person once I express it. And that's, for me personally, that was a really powerful part of participating in your project, Steve. So, yeah, I just wanted to give, listeners and viewers my perspective on that. It's a powerful thing. How many people have you now taken a photo of in this manner through your project, Steve?
I think it's like 1,830 now.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And that's
just at 1,800 last week.
Okay. Wow. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of stories told. That's a lot of unique individual people expressing, what they want to express through your work.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, let me just ask you this, because I want to step back. I want to get into your work, but I want us to step back for just a second, because a lot of people who listen to this show, they're where you were a few years ago, and a lot of times we have to take a risk and take that step away from what's known, the known world, whether that's work or relationship, or it could be anything, and go to that next place that might feel fearful or a little bit scary. What was the first step for you when you were in your 9-to-5 job? What was that first step that you took?
Oh boy, it's so long ago. I mean, it was just, I guess, recognizing that I wasn't happy.
Okay. Yeah.
I was making really good money. I was working for a pretty well-known, financial firm as a network administrator, And um, yeah, I mean, I was going to work every day doing what society told me to do, and
Hmm.
make money and buy a house, and I was on my way, and
Yeah.
it just wasn't fulfilling.
Yeah.
I wasn't traveling. I was pretty stable. Stagnant actually is the best word to use. And yeah, it wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't fulfilling. Just what I wanted to do with my life.
Hmm.
I mean, the corporate world's an interesting character. A lot of times you're working for people that you actually know more than. You know, um,
Yeah.
things are getting asked of you that are just impossible. Because they're not really known, by your manager or supervisor or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there was multiple reasons, but I think the first thing was definitely I realized that I wasn't happy with what I was doing, and I didn't want to sit at a desk all day, um, and really, I was helping people with their computer stuff, but it wasn't really doing anything. It wasn't fulfilling me, you know.
Hmm. Yeah. So was there like a defining moment? Was there something that just like shoved you over the edge, or was it more
Yeah,
gradual?
I
Okay.
started rock climbing.
Okay.
And excuse me, the rock climbing world is is awesome. It's
Yeah.
it allows you to see things. You're hanging out with people who are all different ages, whether they're 15, 12, 40, 60, and you're really just like integrated in this world that's just accepting. And it's athletic and it's fun, and there's so much traveling going on, and people are learning things, and that was something that I never experienced before. So
Yeah.
I just really got engulfed by the climbing community, and I mean there was just no comparison.
Yeah.
It was um, just something that was so accepting comparatively to something that was just so robotic, and it was
Yeah.
free. It
Okay.
was, yeah,
So experienced that, and you said, my life needs to be way more like that, and way
yeah, just
less
free.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool. All right. Um, so you got your start in photography by taking photos at concerts, and you mentioned working with Michael Franti, and I think you've worked with Nora Jones and Trevor Hall and Macklemore. I saw a few others on your website. But how did that work then translate to the What I Be project? What was the momentum or the movement that caused you to go from taking those photographs of concerts and bands and so forth to the What I Be project work?
Well, I mean, the transition was, I mean, I'm hanging out with people or working for people who are constantly talking about amazing things like love and acceptance, and just, creating like a balance between, what is right for us rather than what we're supposed to do,
Yeah. Yep.
people like Trevor and Michael and, um, gosh, I can't, it's like you can't think when, when you're on the spot, but I mean, I've worked with a bunch of people. And when you're around those guys, you're just always, I mean, they're so caring, and they're so
Yeah.
open, and they're so loving, and it's kind of, they're inspiring and they're empowering, and it's kind of hard not to like
Yeah.
learn from that,
Uh-huh.
So I just pulled in, I guess, some inspiration from those guys, and really just wanted to make a difference on a grand scale, or was hoping to make a difference on a grand scale, kind of how they were,
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, yeah, and I guess that's how it I was sick of seeing all just people making fun of people online, and just not
Yeah.
even giving a care of, how they treat people, and I
Yeah.
just wanted to do something different. I wanted to give people the power back rather than make them vulnerable in a negative way. I wanted it to be a positive, and I thought of the project, and I was hoping that it would get 100 to 150 people involved, and
Mm-hmm.
it turned into what it is now.
It's gotten a few more than that.
Yeah, it has.
Who was the first person that you photographed for the What I Be project? Or
It's
you
my
don't?
friend Amanda.
Oh, it was
Um,
Amanda. Okay.
yeah,
I don't.
it's my friend Amanda, and
Okay.
she was the one that has her hands up and it says thunder thighs on her hands.
Okay.
Yeah, she's
That was
like
the
kind
very
of
first one.
a poster child for the project. Yeah.
Okay. Did you know when you took that photo and you had that experience with her, did you know at that time that this project was powerful and that would have the impact on people that it does?
I mean, I had never expected I'd be doing what I'm doing. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I never expected. But when I took that
Yeah.
specific photo, I had an idea of what I wanted the image to look like.
Uh-huh.
Um, and yeah, I mean, when I took the photo, it was a special photo, and I knew it was a special photo. What it was going to do, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was hoping for 100, 150 images to maybe do a book or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I put the picture up on Facebook after we took it at like 1, 2 in the morning, and it just got incredible, you know, incredible support. People were commenting on it, and they wanted to take part. And within 2 weeks, I had 400 requests.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I think within that period of time, I think, um, as a couple more images kept getting added and added, it kept getting bigger and bigger. So I think I realized that there was something there,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't quite know what.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's phenomenal to I dig into this a little bit more and hear the very beginnings, because I think a lot of times when we start with a project, like we have an idea and we take that first step and we're not sure, but we think it might work and we have these visions for what it might do, and then it gets so much bigger than that. It goes
Yeah.
beyond, because the intentions, I think, are so pure and good, and people can get behind that. People want to be a part of something that is caring, like you said, and that involves really great intentions to make the world a better place and to make each other better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Thank you very much.
Um, let me ask you this, because I work with a lot of creative entrepreneurs, and some of them are in their business. And if we just took a photographer, for example, and maybe they have escaped the corporate world, and they're taking photographs of weddings, and they're enjoying that, but they want to go deeper. They want to maybe do something a little more creative, something like you've done. Do you have any advice for people that are in that scenario, that they're kind of they're paying the bills, doing what they enjoy doing, but they know that there's maybe even another step that they could take? Is there any advice that you could share with someone in that scenario?
I mean, I was in that scenario,
Yeah.
up until last year, I was shooting weddings. So, um, weddings definitely help pay the bills, and
Mm-hmm.
you either love doing them or you don't. But I think, just like anything, you got to stick with something. It gets discouraging when you have no jobs, because there's definitely an off season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For photographers, whether it's senior portraits or family portraits or, whatever it may be. But I think the key is just to keep doing what you do, and following, your path and your dream, and never giving up.
Uh-huh.
It takes, I mean, what, 10,000 hours, they say, to master something. And
Yeah.
I mean, 10,000 hours is a lot. I've
Yeah.
sat with 1,800 people for 45 minutes, and that's 2,000 hours, not even, maybe.
Yeah.
So I got a long way to go. You know what I mean? I have
Yeah.
I have another 6,000 images to do. So
Yeah, that puts it in perspective when you say it that way.
yeah.
Yeah. Now, and I think
But yeah,
that's
just I think uh, I think it's just believe in what you're doing and you know follow that you know that passion. I always say that you have to work to get paid. You don't get paid to work.
Yeah.
So there's those two types of people, and depending on which one you are, is which one is gonna great things happen. And
Yeah.
I think I always like to say that I'm on a high speed train,
Hmm.
and it's focused and it's driving and if things are trying to slow that train down, then they're not things that fit into my lifestyle. You
Yeah.
know, just my vision for what I want to do. Um, that's kind of how it has to be, I think, for a period of time for vision. You just have to be scared, be worried, be nervous, cry a little bit, and just keep going. And when
Yeah.
it gets tough, just push through and
Yeah.
keep trying, and you know.
Yeah. So with your work and specifically the What I Be project, do you find that work is like because if there when there's tough times and you're feeling tired and whatever, does the work itself give you energy? Is it a boost? Is it something that like really just once you think about the work, you're rejuvenated?
Uh, that's an interesting question. Um, I don't. I mean, um, it's interesting because I talk for 13 hours a day to people, 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
People talking about all kinds of things.
Yeah.
It's really emotional, and it's really, it definitely it puts a load on. But
Yeah.
um, I don't know. I mean, I obviously I'm inspired and empowered by when people, walk out of the room and then their image goes up and just all the things that get posted and the love that people share with them. And
Yeah.
I think that's what helps for sure.
Okay.
You know, that and
Yeah.
after a long day, I like to just go home and just plop on the bed for, I don't know, half an hour and just not talk.
Decompress a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
But it's very inspiring just watching people and seeing their responses and hearing the love from family and friends and
Yeah.
from something that they wouldn't normally share with me.
Yeah. And for those that are listening on the podcast, I'm going to encourage you to go to Steve's website at whatibeproject.com. And all you have to do is look at the images and you'll understand more about this project and the impact that it has. Because Jill tried to explain to me what you do. And I thought, that sounds great. That sounds pretty cool. But then when I saw the images, I got it. So it's very image driven. And so if you are just listening, be sure to go and check out Steve's website because it's a powerful thing. All right. Steve, how important was it for you to create a business that was uniquely yours? In other words, how important was it for you to take your photography business and really kind of make it so that it felt just you versus, you know, like someone else's photography business? How important was that?
Um, I just didn't follow the rules,
Okay.
literally from day one. I didn't have any training in photography. I kind of
Yeah.
learned through a couple of friends. I did some assisting with an amazing photographer by the name of Brooke Duthie.
Okay.
He's a Bay Area photographer.
Yeah.
I met him at a Michael Franti show.
Okay.
Excuse me. I learned a lot about just lighting, different things like that, how to process images and stuff like that. Like really
Hmm.
like the true raw side of photography. The emotional side, the side that like actually means something,
Yeah.
not the side about money, not the side about trying to get like jobs that aren't meaningful. You know,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I learned a lot about how to turn down jobs that don't honor you. You know,
Yeah.
and you do some of those jobs sometimes because you are running low on funds or something like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's just, I trained myself, and I didn't really follow the rules, from rule of thirds to, different things, the technical stuff within photography that I didn't really follow. I was more, I like to consider myself a people person,
Yeah.
and I think that goes a long way, um, in photography as itself. I mean, you need to be able to take pictures, obviously, but
Hmm.
I think what it comes down to is your personality is probably 60% of your
Yeah.
work, maybe
Yeah.
even more. I don't know, but um, yeah, I mean, if you can take an amazing picture, but you're a jerk, like you're not gonna get work. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's something that is known in the photography world. It's
Yeah.
um, yeah. I mean, I think I just didn't follow the rules. Even with my project, I went against kind of everything. Just from grammar, like the grammar on my project name's off, and just everything about you know um, my work was pretty much against the rules.
Well,
Just do what your heart tells you to do.
yeah, yeah. It seems, it's funny because I talk to a lot of people that are trying to do something else, and the first instinct seems to be, and it's often the same for me, is to go and like read a specific book or take a course or do these things and follow A B C D E and go down that track and that path. But that seems to impersonalize what it is that we want to do.
Oh
And
yeah, totally.
I just love your response here and your question, or excuse me, your response to my question, because it's I think it's what a lot of especially creative entrepreneurs really need to hear about following what it is that's inside of you that wants to be born. So
Yeah, I
important.
mean, it's interesting. John Mayer said it best. Like I don't think anybody has ever said it better than John Mayer, and it's pretty interesting because I know a lot of people who've been to Berkeley Music in Boston,
Uh huh.
but John Mayer said, he went to Berkeley for a year and then like dropped out, and he's like, you know what? I didn't want to study music. I wanted to play it, and it's the same for everything. You can read as many books as you want, but you're not going to
Yeah.
learn jack unless you like actually do it.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
you can't be afraid to mess up. You can't be
Mm-hmm.
afraid to just fall on your face a little bit because that's the only
Yeah.
way you're actually trying to create something. You
Yeah.
know,
Yep.
do
Yeah.
something different.
Yeah. And I mean, that to me, that's the spice of life too. You get out and you get dirty a little bit.
Yeah,
You fall down and you get up and brush yourself off and you learn along the way. That's the spice of life. And the more you embrace that, the more interesting things are. The more interesting people you meet, the more interesting experiences you have. It's a cool way to live.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I look at it this way: if whatever you're doing is not working, do the opposite. Like
Yeah.
if you're going to work and you drive by a homeless man every single day, it's the same one asking for money, and you never give him money,
Yeah.
give him $5 one day.
Yeah.
And see what happens. So just do the opposite of what you normally do if you're unhappy.
I love that.
If
Do the opposite.
yeah, I mean you just do something different. You
Yeah.
know,
That's a way to
go a
shake
different
things up.
go to a different way at work. If you drive the same way every day to work,
Uh-huh.
go another way
Yeah.
and just change something.
Just change it. Do the
Yeah,
opposite.
that's it.
Fantastic. See,
Yeah,
that's pretty simple. Oh, it's easy enough to understand. Actually, following through might, for most people, might be a different story. If you like taking
right.
a hot shower, take a cold shower. I don't know.
Well, I don't know about that. But a hot shower works for me, so why would I change it?
There you go.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
it's not like that Jim Carrey movie where he used to like he always said no, and
yeah,
then he always had to say yes for everything. It's not like you have to don't be extreme about everything. But
yeah,
if you got to change some things, it's kind of like if you're a weightlifter.
yeah,
You do the same workout and the same diet for so long, your body gets adjusted to it.
yeah.
But then all of a sudden you change your diet or your workout, and your body is like, oh my god, what's going on? And
Uh-huh.
it adjusts accordingly. It reacts. You might
Yeah,
gain more muscle or lose more weight, or it's kind of like anything we go through.
yeah.
If you're on the same bunny slope for 2 years, are you going to get better?
Probably
Probably
not.
not. until you like jump on a black diamond and you get a couple bloody noses and you'll be all good.
Yeah. 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 It's true. I mean, those whether it's skiing or mountain biking or whatever, those times I've been pushed by buddies and I've been scared as shit to like go down that double black diamond. I mean, when you get at the bottom, there's nothing more thrilling than looking back up and saying, "Yeah, I just did that."
Yeah.
Thank God I did that. I had that experience.
Even if you did it on your ass, it doesn't matter. You did it.
You did it, right? Yeah. I love that.
I don't care. It's all about the ego. If you don't have to worry about the ego and be like, you know what, I did it on my face, but it doesn't matter. I did it on my face. You know?
Yeah.
Better than not doing it at all.
Yep. That's true. And our egos too. I mean, God, that's a whole nother conversation, but just the whole, I was in a corporate job for like 14 years, and I would say that my ego kept me there a good, probably 10 years longer than if I would have just done what I really thought deep down I could have done
Right.
sooner. But, the ego tells you things like, oh no, you've got to be responsible. You've got to, you've got to do things a certain way. You've got to make that car payment or live in that neighborhood or whatever. There's a million of those types of things.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I went from living in a condo, like my own condo, to living out of a climbing gym in the bouldering cave for 2 months, like in Davis, California.
Yeah.
Things happen and it's scary. And,
Yeah.
you make things work. You don't have to, you don't have to, rob people or whatever, you don't have to, do that. And I know some people do need to do that. I'm not saying it, whatever, but, when you're pushed against the wall, you need to fight to get out. But there are, certain people can find certain ways to do that.
Yeah.
Not everybody can do that, and I'm aware of that. And I think, you just have to keep fighting and keep finding a way that works for you. And even though it's difficult, you got to try to keep pushing and get support from, don't be afraid to ask for help. I took out a loan from my brother-in-law to make it all work.
Yeah.
Like way back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you do what you got to do to make things work. You can't worry about your ego.
Yeah, and there's not the one thing I've realized too from just talking to so many people and experiencing things myself. There's just no straight line. There's no like singular plan that you can take that works. I mean, everybody's got such a different life experience and situation that piece about trusting your gut and continuing to move forward anyways is so important. I suppose there's some general advice that people could take that might make the road a little bit smoother, but by and large, just follow that path that I guess deep down your gut knows you need to take. Because I go back to that a lot. Deep down, like any of the decisions that I consider were questionable or bad decisions, if I think about it deep down, like I knew what to do. I just decided not to, or to postpone it or whatever. But deep down, we all know.
Totally, I agree.
Steve, how do you think that maybe what's changed the most for you? And I know it's been a few years since you've left the 9-to-5 job, but if you think back about what you've done since then and creating your own path and, sleeping in the bouldering gym and all of those things, like what's changed most about Steve Rosenfield since those days of the 9-to-5?
I was super opinionated.
Okay.
Very, very opinionated. I still have my opinions. They're like, I still have opinions and stuff like that, but I'm not, I'm open to other people's now, when before it was all about me and I was right. And, and I was more materialistic and, I still like nice things, but I don't get them. anymore. Sometimes I'll get something, I'll buy a new
Yeah.
laptop or something. But
Yeah.
I think what it comes down to is it's like, do I actually need that right now? And
Yeah.
the old me didn't care. I was in debt. I just charged things. I just wanted nice things to show that I was, I had cool stuff and I was better than other people. And
Yeah.
it was crap. So
Mm-hmm.
I think the most important thing is that I was very opinionated. I had an ego, and I was very, yeah, just very. I wasn't totally closed off, but I didn't let people like totally in on my feelings.
Okay.
And I think now I do. I'm a lot more sensitive and less opinionated and more open and less judgmental.
Yeah.
I was a lot more judgmental back then as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, you made a huge switch. You do much different work. You're surrounded by completely different people, a different culture now, and those things all impact who we are very
Totally.
much. I mean, some of it
Yeah.
comes from inside, but some of it also is influenced by just the surroundings, who we choose to
Of
be
course.
around and what we're doing,
Definitely.
which over time can have a big effect on our lives. We can either be more stressed and more just living that more frantic life, or we can be more peaceful and more happy with our decisions. And you seem to be more happy with your decisions versus if
I
you
am. I mean,
would
don't
have
get me
stayed
wrong.
on that job.
Every once in a while, I'm like, why did I do that? But for the most part, yeah, no, I'm definitely happy with what I'm doing.
Okay,
You know,
cool.
yeah, for sure.
All right. Let me think here. I had another question I wanted to ask you. Um, how about this? Explain. You've touched on this a little bit, but I'm always looking for, that thing that's right under the surface that people might not necessarily always like really think about. So, if you can, explain the feeling of doing meaningful work while making a good living along the way, because I think a lot of people want to get to that. But what for you, what does that feel like? What does that really feel like for you, Steve? Just to know, I'm doing work that feels creative, it feels meaningful. What does that really feel like?
That's a tough one. I mean, it feels amazing.
Yeah.
I'm blessed. I'm so humbled.
Yeah.
I meet 12 to 15 people a day, and they're actually being 100% who they are.
Yeah.
They're not showing me the people that they pretend to be out on the campus or
Yeah.
in the studio or wherever I'm working. I meet people for really who they are, and that's pretty special.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of hard to put words to the feeling. It's just
Hmm.
it's something that I've always wanted to do is to just love what I do.
Yeah.
And I love every second of it. Some of it's
Yeah.
living out of a hotel room every day is not the most glamorous thing, and but waking up and talking to people and just literally having a conversation with people and what's created is inspiration and empowerment between all of us,
Yeah.
and I think that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel amazing. That's my favorite word, amazing and awesome. Like I use those words all the time. But when it comes down, it's remarkable. It's definitely a remarkable feeling that
Yeah.
I mean, I wish everybody could, for
Yeah.
sure.
If there were more people feeling that way about their life and their work and what they do and how they show up in the world, there would be it would be a lot different world. It really would.
Yeah, I think you have to. I think you have to do a lot of things for free, and you have to like put in your time and just
Yeah.
never give up on hugging. It's all
Yeah.
about hugging and
Yeah.
and the ego. Drop that ego, and I think we'd all. It'd be a pretty outstanding thing to see. It's just
Yeah.
people hugging, more guys hugging. That's what we need.
Yeah.
More guys hugging, less alcohol. It'd be great. This world would be a better place.
Did, I don't know, when you were in Portland, did more guys hug here than, say, San Diego or New York City?
I'm gonna be honest. I like all the guys that I meet because of the work I'm doing. They hug,
You just
so it's all
embrace them.
good.
Yeah.
I hug 3 dudes on the football team at Mount Union. Like they're great guys,
Yeah.
and they're like a man's man, like
Sure.
championship football team. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, I think if they know they're in a safe place
Yeah.
and it's, it's, it's okay.
Yeah. And people want to connect too. I think deep down we all have that desire to like have meaningful connections, and that's important.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, cool. Steve, what advice would you give to a person that's always wanted to do more meaningful work, but they're just scared? They're scared to make the leap. What would you tell them?
I mean, all I can say is what I did, and I was
Hmm.
scared as hell, you
Yeah.
know. I mean, I'm still scared sometimes. Being scared is good. That means you're trying new things, and
Yeah.
um, it never stops. I think that's what keeps us going is being scared. I think once we get comfortable and unscared, that's when things do happen that we don't want to happen. I think if we're aware and alert,
Yeah.
and we do what we can while we can, I think there's more space. But just keep doing what you're doing. If you're getting scared and you're getting nervous, then there's something there that's challenging you, and that's, I think, a good thing. Yeah, I just try to push through and try to honor, my vision. Just always stay with that vision, and when things pop up,
Yeah.
I think things come in our lives for a reason, and I think they come in our lives to challenge us
Hmm.
and to help us and different things like that. And um, yeah, I mean, we have a vision, and if things are going against that vision, then it's just, I don't think that's supposed to be there,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Wonderful words of wisdom from somebody who's been living their dream and
I don't know if
pursuing.
they're wisdom, but
we'll,
it's just
we'll,
what's worked for me.
we'll call it what's worked for you then. What's worked for Steve Rosenfield.
Right on.
I like that. All right, Steve, what's up next for you? What is there anything new about the What I Be project, or anything that you're working on that you want to let people know about?
We got a couple things in the works for the summer. I'm not sure what's going on yet, but
Okay.
we have a cool project, part of the What I Be project coming up in
Okay.
mid-May, which is kind of on the down low right now.
Okay.
It'll be coming out probably May 22nd, probably.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
and then towards the end of the year, before the holidays, we'll have the What I Be book will be out probably,
All right.
which I'm really excited for. I think it's
Okay.
going to be a pretty special piece of
Can
yeah.
you talk about the book yet at all?
Yeah,
Or
I can. I mean,
is it going to
yeah,
have?
it's currently in the process of um, the design phase where
Okay.
we're putting the demo together so we can present it to publishers. But
Great.
either way, it will be out, whether we
Okay.
have a publisher or not.
Okay.
I think
All
we
right.
have the support where we don't need a publisher. It's just
Yeah.
publisher will help with distribution. So
Yeah.
I think regardless, we'll have it ready for Christmas.
Okay. Great.
But yeah,
Love
if
it.
whatever questions you have about it, I can answer as best as possible.
Fantastic. So I'm going to link people up on the Startup Sessions episode to your contact information and your website, Steve, so people will know how to reach out to you and get in touch. But I just want to thank you for taking the time. I know it's late on the East Coast, and we're making this happen so that we can get this episode into this month of doing work that really matters. So thank you for your time. I really do appreciate it. It's
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I love your insight, your unique approach, and you've said a lot of things that have made me think, and I know will help the listeners and viewers think about approaching their meaningful work in just another unique way. So thanks a lot,
Awesome.
Steve. Yeah.
No, thank you. I hope it all made sense. It's after a long day of talking. I wasn't, talking gibberish.
It was perfect. It was wonderful. Thanks a lot, Steve Rosenfield from the What I Be Project. And stay tuned, everyone. We're going to have another great new episode, a new month kicking off in June. You'll hear more details about that on next week's episode of the Startup Sessions. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. Hey, if you enjoyed this interview, be sure to go to thestartupsessions.com and sign up to have the latest interviews delivered to your inbox weekly. All of these interviews are also offered on video at thestartupsessions.com or get the audio version via the Startup Sessions podcast. Just hop on over to iTunes and subscribe to the podcast there. Thank you so much for listening and watching. I know that your time is valuable, so I do my very best to provide the most inspirational and actionable content for creating a meaningful business. I'll see you on the next episode of the Startup Sessions.